one of the worst things about breaking up is that now you gotta hang out with your friends again. And it's always the worst friends that are available as you get older, right? Like, Mark, I'm single too. It's like, no, really? You are? I'm so surprised. Totally thought you had a girlfriend down in your parents' basement where you've been living for the past 6 years. Yeah, we should definitely hang out, you know? The other worst part about breaking up is that then you got to get back on the dating apps. You know, you got to get back on the Tinder, whatever dating app you want to use. Anybody by a show of hands in here never tried the dating apps, never did Tinder, none of that? I see some of you are aged out. I'm not going to look at you. Few people never tried it. Okay, so for those of you that never tried Tinder, I'll tell you what it is so you don't feel like you're missing out, all right? It's basically just the clearance rack of human beings. That's basically what it is, right? It really is like a clearance rack, right? Because you're swiping through a bunch of junk, swiping through junk, until you find something that you think looks decent, right? And then you take it home and you realize, like, one arm is longer than the other. It's the TJ Maxx of people. I just got hit on outside the show. It was a man. And it was a nice exchange, and it is kind of funny. It is kind of funny because I am one of these straight guys that people will sometimes think is gay, you know, and not in any kind of aggressive, offensive way, just in a curious way, you know. Like, I'll go to a party, and people will be like, "Oh, who's the gay guy?" Happens sometimes. Yeah, I'll do a comedy show, and people will be like, "Oh, who was the gay guy?" I'll accidentally stumble into a gay bar, and people will be like, "Oh, hi, Mark." Thank you. So he just added me on Facebook, and then see where it goes. No, Facebook kind of feels like it's over, doesn't it? Yeah. Kind of feels like it's good for. I heard a really old person say, "No, I just made my account. My daughter made it for me. How else will I ever see my daughter if not for Facebook?" I think Facebook's good for two things, right? Birthdays, remembering people's birthdays, and inviting people to events, right? It's good for those two things. In fact, I missed my best friend's birthday because he's not on Facebook, which is really embarrassing. But there are some good things, like I remembered the birthday of someone I met once on a Bolt bus. Because of Facebook, so, you know, it kind of balances out. They are helpful. You get those birthday notifications every morning. And it got me thinking, you know, what happens in 50 years when we're all dying, you know? Sooner for some of you, but for most of us. You know, what happens in 50 years when we're all dying? Are they going to have, like, death notifications every morning? You know, like, your childhood friend, David, just died. Would you like to offer condolences? It's like, no, I'll just leave a frowny face. I'm kind of busy today. It is helpful for inviting people to events, but some people take advantage, you know? Like, people invite strangers, basically, to their events. Like, I'm getting invited to events from people I don't even know. And I decided the next time a stranger invites me to an event on Facebook, I'm going to show up and remain by their side until they regret inviting me. A lot of people have app date and internet date horror stories. I'll tell you guys about my worst. I went out with a woman who identified as a foodie. You guys know what this is? You know, she knew where the best new restaurants are, you know. She knew when apricots were in season. Like, you know, kind of a food fetishist, you know. So I try to impress her. I take her to my favorite restaurant, casual restaurant, but I think the food's good. After the meal was over, I was like, what'd you think? She was like, honestly, Mark, I've had better. She was like, but you should know that I am a foodie, and I happen to have a very discerning palate. So please, don't blame this on yourself. Right? It was the most obnoxious thing a woman's ever said to me, ever probably. She did end up sleeping with me, though. So fortunately for me, she was not as discerning with men. After the sex, she was like, Mark, was that good for you? Yeah. That's exactly how I felt, you know? I couldn't crack up like that, but I felt the same way, you know? And I really took my time. I was like, listen, I want to be as upfront with you as you were with me back at the restaurant. I said, honestly, I have had better. I said, listen, but you need to know that I am a fucky. And I happen to have a very discerning penis. So in no way should you blame this on yourself. She liked that a lot, guys. She did. Speaking of food, I live alone. I don't cook. One of my friends suggested I try this thing, Blue Apron. You guys know about Blue Apron? Yeah. You know how when your friends like something, they try and sell it to you for some reason? They're not making any money off it. They just want you to do it too, you know? So my friend makes this big pitch for Blue Apron. He's like, dude, you gotta try Blue Apron. It's awesome. He's like, they send you the food, and all you gotta do is cook it. It's amazing. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know something? I can one-up this guy. I was like, dude, if you like that, you gotta try delivery. Because they send you the food, and all you gotta do is eat it. It's next level stuff.